Good afternoon, good evening, and good night to all you Brief Nerdy listeners out there. No matter when you're listening to this is another episode of the Brief Nerdy podcast. I'm your host, and my name is Ryan. Joining me once again is my good friend Trent.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Thank you.
How was your week?
Good. The weekend was great. It went by way too fast.
Yeah.
Mondays are never all that great until podcast time. Then they're exciting.
Well, not this Friday, but next Friday we have a 3-day weekend because we took off that Friday, the Friday that has everything off.
I have a 4-day weekend.
Ooh, even better.
Yep, I'm taking off the following Monday, so I have plenty of time to play Mario Odyssey all weekend.
Oh, you mean like play it for like an hour, then be like, nah, I'm kind of done with this. I'm going to go back to play XCOM.
You know what?
Or Stellaris.
Shut up.
Out.
Or Ark.
Or Ark. Or League.
No. I'm committing to myself. Mario Odyssey will be the first Switch game that I finish. Well, unless I finish Mario Rabbids before then.
Probably not.
Yeah, you never know.
That's true.
I could do it just to spite you now.
That's my plan all along. Reverse psychology.
Dang it.
Wait, who's there? There's someone else on here.
That's right. Joining us also this week is our newest of our guest co-hosts, or not guest, whatever, my good friend Erik.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm doing well.
I'm not sure if this is completely correct, but I believe you were our very first guest on Gamer Rants as well. You did a voice for one of our opening bits.
I know I was on it. I don't know if I was one of the first.
Yeah, I can't remember, but you're one of the first people that we asked just to play a third character against myself and Awesome Alan.
I think I was the announcer for some of the awards.
Oh, that's it. Yep, that's right. You were the announcer for the Fable 2, like the super crappy, abominable, horrible awards.
No, that's right.
That's right.
I remember that.
Good times.
And then we were both on the "Don't Touch the Baby" video as well.
Yep.
Don't touch the baby.
You provide the stunts for the Final Vanity video.
Oh my god.
That was a long time ago.
Holy crap. Yeah, that's a blast from the past.
So Erik is not completely new to the Brief Nerdy Game Rants brand, but he is welcomed on the podcast here today.
Yes.
So we got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and just dive right on into it. With our round robin this week, we kind of had a discussion at the beginning whether or not we had done this one before, so hopefully we haven't. Neither Trent and I can remember doing it, and plus this is Erik's first time on, so it'd be new even if we've done it before. So this week's round robin is the scariest game you've ever played.
I feel like I should go first because mine is going to be less than impressive to most people.
I don't know. I mean, mine's nothing to really write home about either.
All right,
go ahead, Trent. Show us what you got.
So the scariest game that I've ever played is actually the game that I just started picking up again last night, which is Fallout 4.
All right.
Which I think is pretty scary in certain parts. Mirelurks coming up out of the water. The first time you run into a ghoul horde. All those things. Walking around in the blast zone with the giant scorpions and everything is terrifying.
No, fair play. Does it have giant spiders?
I don't think so, which is why I think it's palatable to me. The Mirelurks are kind of close. Oh, there are. A friend of mine wants me to stream, and there's a Fallout 4 like horror specific mod that redoes the whole game, and she wants me to stream that, like me playing that, and she thinks I'd get a lot of people watching me scare the crap out of myself.
Yeah, but there you go.
So, what you got, Erik?
So, as far as intentionally scary games, I played with Ryan. What's it called? Slenderman. And yeah, that's got some jump to it, but you pretty much lose right after that. So I don't know. I didn't find it that scary. For me, I've spent some time lately playing Ark, and it's pretty calm up on land. You got some T-Rexes and stuff that might come lumbering out, and that's a little bit frightening. But you get down underwater and your vision is massively decreased, and you're swimming along, and all of a sudden there's a shark beside you, and that's pretty terrifying.
I can attest to this. The underwater in Ark is terrifying. Like, we even have tamed giant squids, and swimming around in those is terrifying, even though nothing can kill you. So, there's that.
Well, there you go. Good games. Good reasons to be scary in them. My answer is a little bit different, a little bit more standard, so to speak. I do play a lot of scary games. It's a genre I enjoy, and so I play them, I wouldn't say frequently, but I play a handful of them a year or so. Especially around Halloween, I always try to play one in the month of October. Not a whole lot of people will agree with me, but the original Outlast, it came out in 2013, I believe. It just hits the right beats for me to terrifyingly scary, because you're in a insane asylum, you have no weapons, you can't see in the dark except for your video camera's night vision function, like the green, not very good night vision that just normal digital cameras have.
Yeah.
And the thing that it really gets me versus other games is that there is a danger. Like, there's not just jump scares to be like, aha, we got you. It's a jump scare and that guy is going to kill you in the game. So people often point to other games like Amnesia as the scariest game ever, but I couldn't find that scary. I just found it kind of obnoxious, because it's just walking around and doors creeping and closing behind you, but you soon learn that there's nothing there.
Yeah, I played maybe 10 minutes in Amnesia. I was like, I don't get what I'm doing, and never looked back.
Yeah.
Is that a VR game?
No. It came out in the early 2010s as well, ish.
Nice.
And eventually there are enemies, but then it gets obnoxious as well, because when they are there, there's only a handful in the entire game, and I will admit the conclusion of the game, the ending, is really scary, because that's when they ramp up and there's a good bit of enemies there. But when you see an enemy, your character starts going crazy. There's an insanity meter kind of thing, and that makes your screen go all wobbly and fuzzy and stuff. So it's it was more annoying. But people will think I'm blasphemous for saying that, because Amnesia is often pointed to as one of the best, scariest games ever made. But I think it's overrated. But I liked Outlast. So
nice. Have either of you played any of the new popular VR horror games?
I played, it wasn't even really a game. It was an advertisement for the Belco company. And I don't know if it would exactly fit in horror. It's an escape room. Are you guys familiar with the movie that it's representing?
No.
So the Belco, Belko, it's a Saw type movie. The main characters are put in a situation where they have to hurt each other or everybody's going to die.
Fun.
So you're put into this office room, and it's you're walked through, hey, you need to do these tasks to escape, and if you don't do it fast enough, we're going to kill the guy in the cubicle over. And so there's that horror element to it, but mostly it's an escape room challenge. And it was just a 5-10 minute playthrough to give you a feel for the movie and say, hey, come watch this.
Huh. That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I love it conceptually. Advertising via gaming.
Yeah, there's been a few good, not to go off topic, but a few games like that. For Spider-Man Homecoming, there was a Spider-Man Homecoming VR experience. It was 10 minutes long. But
it wasn't amazing, but it was cool, and it gets you out to see the movie.
Yeah. It's just a free, play around to Spider-Man for 10 minutes. Shoot some balloons with your web, swing around a little bit, and then you're done.
That's
but
cool.
You get to meet the Vulture right before the end.
Yeah.
Spoilers. I'm just kidding.
I played a scary game in VR. I don't remember what it was called. It was just a free one, and it wasn't that great. And again, it was like Amnesia, where I said, where after a few moments, I realized nothing was going to get me. I'd see things in the distance, and doors would close behind me without me closing them and stuff like that. But I'm nothing's going to get me. So
it's more just a traditional haunted house type thing.
Yeah.
Where no one's going to touch you.
Yeah. When I do those, though, I like to sign the waiver thing where they're allowed to touch me.
Oh.
in all the right ways. Have you ever done those before, though?
No.
Not the ones where they're allowed to touch you. No.
No, there's ones at least here locally that you could sign a waiver and like they're allowed to like grab they're allowed to like grab you and like throw you in like a cage and stuff, and obviously nothing like crossing any lines, but they're allowed to touch you.
I don't know if I would be comfortable with that. Not scared per se, just like I don't know you.
Yeah, it's true.
Do I know you? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was a big fan of haunted houses. There's a lot of really good ones in Kansas City, especially where like, there's this area of like kind of near abandoned, condemned built like skyscrapers down in the West Bottoms, and by like skyscraper, I mean they're like 1920s, like 8 or 9 story buildings that have kind of fallen into disrepair. And this company came in and turned them all into there's like 4 haunted houses there now, and they're super fun. But yeah, I don't know if I'd be okay with them touching me.
I just have the problem where, again, like I'm not scared if I know like I can't be hurt, or I mean, even I'm not going to get hurt otherwise. But they jump out, oogly boogly boogly, and you just keep walking,
right?
And they get out of your way as you're walking towards them because you can't run into them or they can't touch you. So
yeah, I mean that's the same problem I have with scary movies. It's like you do the music sting. I know the jump moment's coming.
Yeah,
you don't have anything new.
Mm-hmm.
Both of you are not nearly as easily scared as me, apparently. But I can just be like atmospherically scary. There was one that was like kind of a mind bender that I thought was cool, where like you walk into a room and there are 5 exits, 2 on each of the side walls and 1 straight ahead. And for like 3 or 4 rooms, no matter which way you go, the next room looks exactly the same. And you have to figure out which door to take. And every other door that you're not supposed to take is either like a fake door, or there's someone behind it that's gonna like grab you, or something like that. But it's just like the messing with your head part of it was kind of scary in and of itself. And
see, I could actually see that being scarier if not only are the rooms identical, but you can go through all the wrong doors. 3 or 4 doors in, you're gonna start thinking, wait, can I get back to where I was?
Well, that's the thing. Is like until you know which way to go out, you don't know for sure. Like if it's your first time, like no one tells you, like, oh, there's only 1 door. So like the first time through, you definitely feel that way.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
So that's our scariest games we've ever played. So let's get into what we're playing. I'll go ahead and kick it off. You guys don't mind? Like I mentioned, every October I tend to play a scary game. Outlast 2 came out earlier this year, but I wasn't quite in the mood to play it, and I was kind of saving it for Halloween time. So I'm playing through Outlast 2 right now. I'm really liking it. Not quite as good as the first one. It kind of has the unfortunateness of it coming out around the same time as Resident Evil 7, which I think was a lot better and kind of like very similar. They're both first-person horror games that take place in like the South and culty Christian religious groups kind of stuff, as a space horror element. So it kind of sucks that happened to it, but it's still really scary, and I'm enjoying my time with it.
That seems really interesting. Like, why would you choose to A, not release it in October, and B, release it up against Resident Evil? Like, that just seems like 2 really bad decisions.
Well, just October is just busy for all the other AAA monsters that it has to go up against, especially since it's not an indie. It kind of is an indie title, though.
That's true. So, but I can see it doing really well in like September when fall is starting to show up, and
yeah,
this pre-Halloween horror thing comes out.
And some scary games do that. And yeah, I think it was just bad luck because like it's not like they each knew about each other. Like Resident Evil 7 and Outlast 2, like they don't really know. Like Resident Evil 7 was announced about less than a year before it came out, and I'm sure by then like Outlast 2 was already like far in development.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they came out like 2 months apart, but it's kind of like the Bugs Life, Ants, and the Deep Impact Armageddon kind of like, yeah, all right, well, they came out. But
nice. That's a future round robin right there. Which of those are your favorites?
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Like anyway.
So I played a little bit more Cuphead with Trent. I got a little bit further. I've recently learned there's kind of been discussions online. The game is much harder in co-op than it is single player. Because not only do the bosses have like double or more HP, like there's like twice as many things to dodge than in single player. There's a lot more bullets flying around and everything like that. So
I haven't played or even really seen anything on this game yet. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about Cuphead?
Go ahead, Trent.
It's kind of like I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like Mega Man, the original Mega Man's, but animated to be kind of like a Pinocchio-esque, like
1930s style animation.
Yeah, like a really old cartoon with like piano music and
think like Felix the Cat style.
Yeah.
Original Felix Cat style.
And so like it's very artistic and stylistic in the way that it's done.
It's all hand drawn too, like literally by hand on paper.
But the mechanics of it is very much, like 2D side scroller, like avoid the thing, shoot the bad guy, get powers, things like that.
Okay. Have either of you seen or played Towerfall Ascension?
No.
No.
This is kind of, it's 8-bit rather than hand-drawn animation, but you're on a square room. The edges wrap like Pac-Man kind of. You shoot things with arrows, and I've only played it single player. TK and his family have been playing it together multiplayer. You can kill each other. So you shoot this arrow off, and if the guy next to you's not paying attention, you kill him instead of the thing you were aiming at.
Nice.
Fun game. Sounds kind of similar in play style, if maybe not overall feel.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's kind of cool.
So yeah, we've been playing Cuphead. We're making our way through. We're probably a little bit more than halfway through World 2 right now, but I think we're making good progress for what we've done so far.
Yeah, it's not a huge game, but it's satisfyingly challenging, is what I would say.
And then finally this week, something I'm kind of proud of, I quote-unquote finished Destiny, the original. I finished like all the main story content and all the strikes for all of the missions in the game, and both its expansions. Technically, the only thing I am missing out on technically are like a few of the later game raids, which I'm just not going to take the time to grind to get myself at a high enough gear level to play. And then even according to people online, if you are at a good gear level, and the people have to be a well-coordinated group going into the raid, and you still will probably fail.
So having done that, how confused am I going to be when I jump into Destiny 2 without looking at anything from the original?
I don't think that confused, maybe a little bit. I would definitely watch a video first, but the first Destiny game itself didn't do a good job at telling its own story. So that was one of the biggest complaints people had with Destiny 1 that they're trying to address by making a good story in Destiny 2. So
yeah, I found a really good video. I mentioned it last week in the podcast that, and you can just search on YouTube. There's dozens of them that go over the lore of Destiny.
Cool.
I found an 1.5 hour long one I'm watching.
Yeah, that's what I watched.
Nice. So
good stuff.
So yeah, I'm glad I kind of was able to play through all the original Destiny content, and excited for Destiny 2 next week. So
sweet.
Oh wow, next week already.
Yep. Week from tonight, technically.
Holy crap. I am not prepared. So yeah. So is that all you've been playing?
Yep, that's it for me. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot one. Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. It's the expansion / small standalone release that they did. Just a little like 6 to 8 hour long Dishonored campaign where he plays a character from Dishonored 2. I'm not too far into it right now, but I enjoy it so far.
Nice.
Hopefully they'll just knock it out, but it's a good game.
Dishonor
on you.
Dishonor on your cow.
Your Mulan references are out of control, almost like that Szechuan sauce.
Nah.
All right, that's it for me. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So I mentioned already that we've been playing Cuphead. I haven't played Stellaris in a little bit, but it's on the back burner for me. Like I want to go back and finish a playthrough in there in the new mod. And then I started a new playthrough of Fallout 4 last night, which I'm super excited about. Which of course meant that I spent about 5 hours looking at mods beforehand, deciding which mods I wanted to play with, and then played like an hour of the game and then had to go to bed. So there's that. I'm trying to
the life
do.
of a Bethesda player.
Huh?
Tis the life of a Bethesda player.
That's right. So I last time I played, I was like a charismatic pistol sneaky guy, and this time I'm trying to do a brutish melee, like just beat people over the head with a baseball bat playthrough, and then be a raider person with the Nuka World DLC. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
But I is excited. So that's pretty much what I've been playing.
Cool. What about you, Eric?
So I mentioned I played some Ark lately and some Towerfall Ascension, and there's always a handful of games that I play a little bit of in the background. But the main games I play, the ones that I keep coming back to, I spend most of my time on, are those ladder climbing games. Right now, League of Legends and a card game called Eternal. We'll talk about a little bit more later in the show, I think.
Yes. So why do you like League of Legends? Why does it keep bringing you back?
Just that competitive gameplay where it doesn't matter how long you've spent in this game. It is my skill against your skill. Your gear doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but you earn the gear from the same starting point that I do. We're both at 0 when the game starts, and if I fail, it's because I failed as a player, not because you've spent more money, you've spent more time.
Nice. It's a good way to put it. So.
All right, we'll switch to what we're watching. Eric, why don't you kick us off there?
I haven't been watching a lot of television or movies lately. I was looking for something. I didn't have anything to watch while I was eating, so I popped on the Apple TV and pulled up The Blacklist. I watched the first 2 episodes. Pretty interesting so far. And I was telling Trent the other day, my favorite thing about it, the main character's bald.
Oh, there you go.
Like you.
Wah,
Just
wah.
like me.
All right, Trent, what about you?
Well, first, I'm curious, having seen the first few seasons of Blacklist and loving them, what do you like? Are you in the first? First season?
It's episodes 1 and 2 of the first season. I like the premise. The characters seem interesting. There's a good mystery developing. We'll see how long that lasts, but
nice. I'm excited for you. Once you hit like season 3 or 4, though, stop talking to me about it because I haven't seen those ones yet. But cool. Well, I watched a lot of TV yesterday, as opposed to Eric, while I was cleaning and watching or doing laundry and stuff. So I watched 6 CW TV show premieres, which were the four Arrowverse shows. My favorite of which is still Legends of Tomorrow, which I would never have dreamed a year and a half ago.
Right.
And then Riverdale and Dynasty is what it's called. Dynasty is a new one. It's about the super, 1% of the 1% family and their drama. And it's total, just drama fluff television with good-looking people and money. And
so you love it.
Absolutely. It's got some good intrigue going on, and so I'm excited to see where the different mysteries and stuff go. But it's not highbrow television. It's good lowbrow television, I would say. And then I caught up on Survivor and Orville, both of which are still going really well, I think. So, and I'll throw out to a couple of our listeners who put out listener questions for this week. We're going to have to delay our discussion of Star Wars Rebels and Star Trek Discovery because Ryan was out partying until 1 a.m. last night and didn't watch them with me.
Woo!
So,
sorry, guys.
What a jerk.
We'll watch them right after the podcast. So
we will. So we will have forgotten our thoughts about it by next week's podcast.
Apologies to our many listeners.
No, I'm just kidding. So that was Jillian's question about Star Wars and one of Annie's questions. So sorry about that. But next week, they're on the list.
And for me, I don't have much more to talk about. I'm kind of delaying the CW verse premieres until I'm finished with the leftovers, since I only have 5 episodes of that left. But I have to muster up the desire to watch those. So... But I'm watching a few things right now, like you said, like Star Trek when we can. Orville has been great. just want to call out to DuckTales that we're like 6 or 7 episodes in at this point. That's still really good. There's probably only been like one meh episode where the rest of them have been laugh out loud funny. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the new DuckTales. I highly recommend anyone jump on it now before you get too far behind, and love the heck out of it like I have. So
Nice.
Good.
Yeah, I just to talk about Arrowverse for a minute, not to give anything away, but I thought it would be fun to just rank them how I feel about them at the moment. Arrow, I think, has risen to number 2 for me, which is surprising because I hated last season. Just all of it. I thought it was terrible. For
and the season before that.
That one didn't bother me as much, but I didn't like it much either.
See, I didn't hate the last season, but I did feel it was slowing down.
Oh yeah.
I even felt that this past one was a step up from the previous one. So
it was. I just didn't like the 4 millionth time. Like, I totally predicted you would do this. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
But the premiere was really good. Actually, there was some interesting stuff following the cliffhanger. Some good new character developments. They're actually taking some people in new directions, which is good. So it felt like a little bit more return to form. So I'm excited where they go with it. And then Flash and Supergirl were both just kind of meh to start off the season. So I think Supergirl might have dropped to my least favorite, which I was surprised about.
Well, hopefully that doesn't last more than a couple episodes.
Hopefully.
I think that for me, the most disappointing thing, well, maybe I shouldn't say, because there might be people that haven't listened to any of it yet or watched any of it yet.
We'll talk afterwards.
Suckers. If you donate to our $1,000 a month Patreon, we'll let you. No, like just kidding.
One of our patron cast. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep. So cool. That's our shows. Da-da-da. It's all right. Well, let's get into our normal topics. Ben also had a question about the Black Panther trailer that came out today. What do you guys think?
Yes, my good friend Ben wanted us to talk about our thoughts. I liked it. I thought it didn't really give away much of the story, but it left me visually thirsty for more.
Yeah, I would say I also enjoyed it. My only critique, I have one critique for the trailer, one critique for the movie that I wasn't aware of, but this trailer made plain. Music choice I thought was a little strange. I mean, I could understand why they went with that music choice, but it's still, I was like, oh, okay, sure.
It's funny though. Like I definitely paid attention to the music because I figured. I mean, it's a hip hop track, but it's the first time. Like I've been really annoyed with a lot of movies that have been doing hip hop lately. But I think my biggest critique is that they don't really tailor their shots and the editing to the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of recent movie trailers we've seen done with some classic rock, which is my favorite type of music, and they do it so well that you just feel like the song was made for the trailer.
Right. And this one, it wasn't perfect, but I thought this was the first trailer with a hip hop track that actually felt like they were aiming for these two things to line up. Like there were a lot of good like musical transitions. The only part that I didn't like is that there were parts where I couldn't tell if it was just music, like spoken word, like rapping, or if it was lines from the movie. And I'm like, wait, who's talking? I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I thought it was good.
The other critique I had for it was the villain in the movie.
Yes.
I kind of assumed that just Claw was going to be the villain this time. They kind of introduced him in Age of Ultron, but now they're doing the Marvel thing where they're just making the bad guy version of the good guy be the villain for the first movie.
Yep.
And it's getting really tired at this point.
Yep, I was let down by that too. I was like, oh, come on, guys. Like, this could have been... Like, even if you were the same character, why does he have to be an evil Black Panther? Like, have him be something different.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I don't know, I have no idea how I missed that Killmonger was going to be the villain, but I was like, oh, okay. Because, I don't know, Claw in any circus presents a better and more interesting villain, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, especially with the small amount of history they now have with maybe not Black Panther and Claw himself, but Claw himself has been introduced already. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't have much knowledge of the comic books. Like I haven't read a lot of them, and I don't typically look something up until it becomes obvious I need to know about it from a movie or trailer. So I don't have much expectation going into it. I'm just like, hey, another television show for me, or another Marvel movie for me to watch.
It's practically a television show at this point. Another episode of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that being said, it looks good. I'm sure it's going to be good.
I thought it's doing a good job of returning to we're showing you a lot of stuff without giving much of the story away, and that's my ideal trailer.
Yeah,
is something that can make me excited, show me a lot of action and fun stuff, but I still have no idea what the overall main plot is.
So that said, how'd you feel about the Star Wars trailer? I heard I am not one to care much about spoilers. I heard some people that were pretty irritated at it, that feel like it's pretty spoilerful.
Oh,
I don't think it is at all.
I don't think it is either. I think people are falling for the
misdirections.
Yeah, the obvious misdirections.
Okay, you know what? Even watching it in the light of people saying it's full of spoilers, I was like, is it though? So right. I thought maybe I was just missing something because I didn't know enough backstory. But
no, I think people are just accepting that this trailer is just showing them entire shots of the movie, which I don't think it is.
I mean, the only thing I think people would possibly consider is the very last couple shots, with Kylo Ren reaching his hand out. But those aren't the same scenes with Rey and Kylo Ren. He still may
not the same scenes.
Yeah, he still may be reaching his hand out to Rey in that scene. We don't know, but it's definitely not the same place at the same time. So,
and the other scene I could think of is when Kylo looks like he's about to kill Leia.
I actually think that's going to be that.
Missed that.
You actually think what, Ryan?
I think that's going to be. I think that's not misdirection. I think that's the scene that happens.
I do too, but I think people are thinking that he's actually going to kill her right there, and I don't think that's
no.
They would never.
In my mind, the showdown at Crate is the not the finale, but the big battle towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, and
we've already seen that she's there, so But I don't know. That's just what I assume.
Yeah. I think it did a good job of showing a lot of, like what we were saying, it shows a lot of cool action scenes without really telling us the plot. So
yeah,
that's how I feel about Star Wars.
Just don't let Luke be bad, please.
At this point, I don't know. I'd rather him be bad than pathetic.
True.
Which is kind of how I feel like he's leaning at the moment.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate form of all Jedi and Sith.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. My ideal thing for him is I'm hoping that in much of the way that Force Awakens was Han's coming to grips with what his duty is type stuff. I hope that Luke also has a similar come to Obi-Wan moment where he realizes that what he needs to do and puts his head back in the game.
Yeah, did you just say "come to Obi-Wan" moment?
Yeah, I mean, he's the Jesus figure of the original trilogy, so
yeah.
Kind of looks like him too. So, all right. Well, new shows are premiering now. It's that time of year. Which ones are you most excited about?
Ruby, hands down.
Nice. I didn't even think about that one. I need to catch up. I think I've only seen the first season.
I still need to watch it.
For those of you that don't have any idea what I'm talking about and are trying to look this up, you're not going to find it because it's not R-U-B-Y. It's R-W-B-Y.
Because,
they do explain it in the first season, so it's not completely random, but it does make it hard to tell people, hey, go look this up.
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of put it in perspective, it's a animated web series in kind of like a manga style or anime style, made by Rooster Teeth. Is that accurate?
Yeah. For longtime fans of YouTube, you may remember what did they call them? The Dead Fantasy combat matches, mix up of Dead or Alive and Final Fantasy. showdowns. And the guy that did those, Monty was the creator of Ruby.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
He also made the video Hey Lloyd. That was my first knowledge of him. It was a video where Master Chief and Samus duke it out.
Yeah. And from what I've heard, each season gets just more and more incredible. So
yes. So I am all caught up. I finished the first 4 seasons, and the 5th season should be starting sometime this month, I think. I may have even missed an episode.
Holy crap. October is just packed.
I still only watched a few seasons of Red vs. Blue. I think I'm 3 or 4 behind on that now at this point.
Yeah, I think the last one I watched was 12. It's been a bit.
Yep. For me, I'll be honest, I'm not super into network shows. I'll find some I like every now and then. For some reason, Orville has really hit the spot for me, and that doesn't happen very often for network shows. But most of the time, they're my, just okay, I guess there's a new episode. I guess I'll watch it. I don't really sit there and anxiously wait and love network shows. Most of the shows I love tend to be cable shows. But that being said, Star Wars Rebels just started, so that was probably the one I've been looking forward to most ever since Trent and I went to their panel at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year. And they announced it was the final season, showed the trailer, and then showed us the first episode. It's going to be an intensely good season.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm nervous to start it because once you started, then it's going to be over soon.
And I think I told you this before, but they even said that this season is after the first handful of episodes, maybe 2 or 3 episodes, that it's going to be serialized. It's going to just be back to back to back until the end of the show. Not just random Freak of the Week episodes, so to speak.
I mean, there's so much that they have to cover. So I'm stoked.
Ditto. So that'd be mine.
So aside from Star Trek Discovery, which was probably the one I was the most excited and terrified about, Riverdale probably would be. I mean, the one I'm most excited for is the 100, but that doesn't premiere until it premieres in the winter, so January, February. So I would say right now probably Riverdale, which the premiere was excellent. It had me all over the emotional spectrums. Very, very good writing. I've been enjoying it a lot.
Nice. What about you, Eric?
Oh, mine was just Ruby. So.
Oh, ditto. You're there already. Okay. Well, Trent, why don't you take the reins for this next topic? But Disney has launched the app Movies Anywhere, or rather, should I say, service. It's something that we kind of talked about that we kind of wanted early in the podcast, where it takes your digital library of Disney, Sony, Universal, Fox, and WB movies, no matter what service you have them on, asterisks with that, in one location. So you can just watch all your stuff in one place rather than being segmented through, a ton of different storefronts.
It's nice. For anyone who owns digital movies, either through iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, Disney, or Vudu, you can log into Movies Anywhere. It's a free service that is being hosted by Disney and supported by 5 of the major movie studios that he listed off a second ago. And you can connect link your accounts to those other ones that I named already, and they port all of your movie library into one place. And not only is it somewhere you can stream them from, on a browser, it also has app support and streaming support for things like Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV, things like that. So personally, I have almost all the Star Wars movies on digital because I wanted to do a full marathon of them before Force Awakens, and I bought them all on Google Play. The other cool thing about it is that they will give you some free movies when you sign up for the service and connect your accounts. And so they gave me 5 free movies. They were kind of random, I felt like anyway, but I haven't seen 2 or 3 of them. So I'm kind of excited about that. Do either of you buy digital movies?
I own probably less than 10.
Yeah, not typically. I'm not big on rewatching most stuff. Once is normally enough for me.
So do you like to rent or to stream then, or?
Yeah, I'll
typically
grab something at Redbox or see it in the theater.
Nice. I'm a very similar mindset to that, but every now and then, like, I know there's going to be some movies I want to watch again, even though it's very rare for me. So like Star Wars, I'll probably put like Practical Magic and Zombieland and some other stuff on there eventually. The thing that I'm really waiting to see if they'll allow you to do is what Google Play allows you to do, which is download the movie and then keep it on like on a tablet or something.
Yeah.
So that you could watch them on like trips or flights and stuff. I don't think that the movies anywhere does that yet, but that would be cool. The other thing that I really wish they would do that I don't know why they didn't do is put TV with it, because I do own a lot. I own a lot of TV series on digital.
Well, see here,
there's no other way to watch it.
Just looking at it, my initial thought was, oh, this could pull together things like Hulu but no, it's
Nope.
I would love something where I don't have to worry about where it's at. If I'm subscribed to something, I can just click a button and watch it, and then switch to another. It could be an entirely different service, but I don't have to care about that. I just watch it.
Yeah, I would love some kind of meta service for game launchers and for TV streams. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to about that. That'd be our $1 million idea. Work with Steam, Origin, Uplay, Battle.net, Epic, everything, just to be like, okay, we're just making a launcher program. You could launch any of your games from this platform.
Well, and arguably Steam does that. Steam will let you, create links in it, but it's not simple enough that it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of extra time. You still have to go to that other service to buy it. Yeah.
I think with like little extra features, like just a search option in this, make-believe client that's like, hey, the South Park, game that's coming out, it's cost, I'm just making up prices, but it costs $60 in Steam and $50 in Uplay. You can just buy it in Uplay, and then it gets added to your library.
Right. And I think that's the reason why Steam is never going to go for it.
Definitely not.
Because
no for it.
For brand new games, like Steam and Uplay and Origin don't want you to know that Green Man or Good Old Games has it for 44 instead of 60. Like,
well, I don't think it would search like Green Man or anything like that. I think it would just be the storefronts on each client.
It could.
Yeah, it could, but you're right. They would definitely not go for it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's come to the point where, like, I just have to remember where I own things or where I'm allowed to stream things from, because I stream from Netflix, Hulu, CBS All Access, sometimes the CW TV app when I want to hurt myself. I'm sure I'm forgetting another one somewhere, but like I just have to remember, like, I have an app where I track the TV shows that I'm watching, so that it reminds me, hey, this episode of this show is available for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, where's that show again? Right, it's on CBS. I go to cbs.com, blah, blah, blah. I just have to throw out another complaint real quick about CBS All Access. I went to cbs.com/survivor on Sunday to watch my episode. So it's less than a week, right? So like I feel like you're still with, like, you shouldn't be seeing spoilers on the actual show's own website, right? Right below
that argument, yeah.
Right below the list of episodes, there's an article with a caption, with a captioned image, and the image is the torch snuff of the episode I'm about to go watch. And I'm like, oh, great! I know who's going home. Thanks, CBS. Like, come on, like that.
Wow.
It's just, I was so mad. I tweeted at them. I'm like, seriously? Like, I pay $9 a month for the service for the no commercial plan.
Mm-hmm.
Can you not spoil it for me before I watch it?
Yep.
So mad. Anyway.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible.
Side stuff. But anyway, Movies Anywhere, it looks really cool. If you like buying digital movies, which I do, it's a service that I'm going to be using. So
nice.
There you go.
I'm sure TJ will have more to say about it, because he was very giddy in our chat that we use about it.
He was very excited. So I look forward to maybe tabling that more for next week.
All right. Well, Erik, why don't you talk about the next topic you have here? You're the expert on this one.
So I have long been a fan of collectible card games. I started playing Magic back right around the time Tempest was coming out. I played Magic for years, During my college years, I kind of fell back from it. I didn't have people to play with consistently, and for a time, collectible card games just went by the wayside for me. And then Blizzard came out with Hearthstone and introduced the concept that you could play card games. I mean, they weren't the first to have a card game online, but they were the first to have a successful card game online. So I started playing Hearthstone, and I enjoyed it. Now, Hearthstone did some things that really kind of took it away from what we had seen with Magic. They added in effects that you just could not do in a physical card game, such as, hey, this creates a random card from the set. Well, okay, that's really cool. Magic can't do that because you'd have to open a new pack of cards every time you played that. So it not only brought card games to the digital world, but introduced the idea that card games could exist in a different level in the digital world. But in doing that, they introduced all of these randomized concepts. And so you really get the feel that your game is decided by luck, which is not completely true. There's still a lot based on how do I play this random card that I got? How do I make the most of the random turn of events? But because there's so much random, it feels like your win or loss hinges on that. So other people saw Hearthstone's success, and they've been saying, hey, why don't we have a digital card game?
You mean like we just have to draw a bunch of 2D assets and lighting effects and just make a good system, and we have a super profitable video game?
Yeah, so The Witcher tried that, and now I don't know The Witcher lore, so that might have been a big turnoff for me. But I played this game and I was like, it's not very dynamic. It's mostly just comparing numbers, which one's bigger.
You're talking about Gwent, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Gwent. And maybe if you know the lore, there's a lot more feel to it. To me, it felt like a math game, and that was kind of their advertising. They were like, don't lose due to random draws. It is a game of skill, and I can certainly see where they're coming from with that. There is a lot more thinking into, okay, do I play this now to maybe get ahead and possibly seize a win, or do I hold back my current advantage, lose this round, and then sweep the next two? So it is a lot more strategy oriented, but I felt that it really lost out on what makes these type of card games fun.
Which is
outsmarting your opponent. Like, just in the instant they do something, you immediately hit it with a counterplay.
Nice.
So the one that I'm playing the most right now is called Eternal, and we mentioned it earlier. It is almost a clone of Magic, but taking that same idea that Hearthstone brought with it, that you're not tied to the physical anymore. And so in Magic, you attack the opposing player, and the defending player chooses what to block with, and then you deal all your combat damage. And you've got that same basic element in Eternal. But you attack with this character, and the top creature of your deck gets +1/+1. You don't know what that top creature is. You don't know when you're going to draw it. It might be 20 cards down, but it has a +1/+1 attached to it when it shows up.
Pretty cool.
Cards that when you draw them, they create a copy of themselves. So you draw one, you have two. And then you use a card to put it back on top of your deck, one of them. And then you draw it up and you have two again. So I've played the same card. I have 8 copies of it on the board, and they've all got the benefits that they've got from being put back on top of the deck, from being on top when they get +1/+1, stuff like that just keep accumulating on the card no matter where it's at.
Nice. So coming into the digital basically allows just so many more levels of. It's basically kind of like how D&D turned into the early RPGs.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That KOTOR was just D&D Star Wars.
Yes, you might be able to set up a system that allows you to track all those variables, but it would cease to be fun in a physical environment.
Yeah.
I remember reading the manual for KOTOR and like reading about all these like dice rolls and stuff like that happening in the background. I was just like, what the? Because it literally, like, I remember the manual. It literally talked about like, if the number stat on your weapon is this to this, then it does a dice roll that's this. And I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, I remember reading that and being really excited because I played D&D at the time. And it's just like D&D.
I knew nothing about D&D, and so I didn't only learn later that it was just they just made D&D Star Wars with a skin on it. So
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that people like you, Eric, are able to play these digital card games in a way that you never were able to play, and there's a lot of options available to you, whether you love them like Hearthstone or not so much like Gwent. I'm not super into them, but I'm glad that you could find enjoyment in them.
Well, I think the reason they're blowing up so much too is because it's the perfect economic model, also because it's a video game that you can. I mean, card games were the original microtransaction game.
Well, yes, and taking it a step further, Magic, the first real card game, was designed to be played between rounds of Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice.
This was Richard Garfield's goal. When it's not your turn, and combat can drag out in D&D. So you got people sitting there playing this game that can be quick, that you can take a break from without impeding, and that same idea can be brought to the digital card games. The best ones, in my opinion, Hearthstone and Eternal, are on your phone. You're standing in the line at the grocery store, you whip out your phone, play a game.
That's cool.
How long are your grocery store lines? Jeez.
You don't know. I might be the reason they're so long.
All right. Well, one thing that I don't know if I credited you with exactly, Eric, but I will credit with you now, is that people will know from earlier episodes of this podcast that I was kind of poo-pooing all over VR and thinking, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal. And then you brought over your Vive, and I was instantly like, oh, MG, I need one now.
And then you bought one the next day.
And then, I pretty much did, within a week or two. I'm like, yep, I need one. I need it now, and I got it, and I loved it. So, and I still love it. I haven't played it for a few months, but just because I just had other things I've been wanting to play. But that being said, VR has seen its share of success and not success, depending on how you look at it. We're going to talk about how we feel about VR, but kind of just in the news, Oculus Rift just announced a standalone Oculus Go VR headset. What do you guys think of this?
Yep. I think this is huge. So VR has a huge barrier to entry at its price point. And the Vive, even with the recent price cuts we've seen, $600. And the Oculus Rift now down to $400. That's still quite a bit of money to drop on a system that, like you said, you're only going to play, every couple of weeks. Now, I don't play mine every day. I love it. I think it's a great experience that everybody should have. But there are a lot of games that just there's no reason to play them in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And opening up this price point, dropping it down to $200. Granted, this is not going to be the same system. I'm not going to be playing Ark on the Oculus Go.
Yeah.
But getting more people involved means more people developing for it because there's a larger cache community. And that right now is what hurts VR. There aren't any developers.
And something you really have to see to believe. I kind of had just gone under the assumption that, Oculus and Vive were not just like the Google Cardboard VR that I've done with my own phone before. Because I did that a lot back when Google Cardboard first came out. And I was like, this is very meh. But until you see that much, much, much higher resolution, the 144 hertz rate screen that they have in there to make everything smooth as you move, and then just with the graphics power of a very later gen graphics card, that it creates some pretty amazing stuff. And so VR is great, and I'm really happy. Exactly what you said. That's what we need. And it's why the very first VR game I'm planning to buy day one is this year's Doom VFR that comes out on December 1st.
Nice.
I will pre-order it and have it and ready and play it probably all the way through on day one.
Now, some of the comments in that article that announced the standalone Oculus for $200, they said, no, this is horrible for VR because people are going to try it. This is going to be their first VR experience, and it's not up to snuff, and they'll just swear off VR forever. What do you think about that?
Do we get really stats of it? I mean, because
No.
it's not just a dumb cell phone.
We don't know what it's going to. We know that it's going to play the apps that were designed for the Samsung VR.
Yeah.
But we don't know how well. We don't know if it's going to be able to do anything else. I mean, it's limited information on it.
I mean, I could see it going both ways, if I'm being honest. Like I said, my first VR experience was my Google Cardboard, and I was like, don't care. It wasn't until I saw the Vive, which is debatably the highest quality you can get in VR standards nowadays, and I was blown away, and like, I need this now. So I don't know if this will be a happy middle ground or more leaning towards the higher or lower end of the spectrum. So I guess we won't know until we play it.
For me, I mean, if you understand how electronics pricing works, and you look at something like the Oculus Go, and it's $200, and you look at something that's the Vive, it's $600, you would hope you would understand that there's a leap in electronic quality going on.
Sure.
And so it's like if I go to like a TV store and like I buy a $400 TV, I understand it's not going to be as good as the $800 TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
and see, I think
even Apple symbol on it or something. No, I'm just kidding.
Even if people do, try one and swear off VR, I don't think that hurts the market, because most of the people that are going to be buying the $600 VRs are going to try one. They're going to find somebody that has one and give it a shot. And it's a fairly small niche market anyway, because it's targeted towards high-level gaming, where these things will get into the hands of the masses. They'll be used for office meetings. They'll be used for silly Facebook games that most of us, hardcore gamers are like, I don't have time for that. I have 7 million games in my Steam library calling my name. And just having more people to reach out for, I think, is more important than that they have a top-tier experience. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I think just as many people could be like, that wasn't that great, to that was kind of fun. It is.
Yeah.
So
VR is cool. I really enjoy it. Let's get more people on it.
True. I am a convert. I've not yet purchased one, but I will be eventually.
I need to have you try a couple things. I have my mother friend jokes at me because I have a tour, a program I guide people through to get them adjusted to VR. Like, you do this app, and then this app, and then this app, and then this app, and then
When I've used it, I've used yours with the tilt brush was amazing.
Yes.
I could just sit in there and paint all day.
Right. I mean, it's such a simple concept. This is Mario Paint. Right. But in 3D, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm not artistically inclined at all, but I still made some stuff I thought looked really cool. And you can turn it and walk around it, and it's just the idea of 3D.
Right. When we think 3D, we think the cheesy 3D movies we've gone to. We think 3D images in World of Warcraft on our screen. This is not that.
Right.
You walk around the object.
Yeah, it's really cool. I still to this day, I've said this before in the podcast, but the first time I tried it and you handed me the remote and I couldn't actually see the real thing you were handing me, and I still just grabbed it like it was nothing.
Digital remote, and you don't even think about it. It's just there. You grab it.
Yeah. And Eric, you've told me stories about there were desks in games that you thought were real enough that you tried to lean on them, and you
try to set my remote down and just kind of drop it. Oops.
But yeah, so I'm excited. I think the main thing for me that the very first one I want to try with both of you is the Star Trek one.
I haven't played it a lot just because I've been playing by myself and it really isn't designed for that.
Yeah.
But I have enjoyed it. I think it is well done. And this is a seated VR game, so it doesn't matter if you have a lot of space or not. You can get this in a studio apartment and sit on your bed and play it.
I mean, I just had a ton of fun playing Sorry with you in Board Game Simulator.
The Tabletop Simulator was great.
So Tabletop Simulator is not designed for VR. It is designed to give you a 3D view of these tabletop games on your desktop PC. But someone at the company decided, hey, it's already 3D. Let's go ahead and put in the code that lets VR headsets work with it.
It's pretty cool. We should play more of those. I don't know why we stopped.
I concur.
It's just like any tabletop game, you got to get together a group of people.
It's true.
All right. Well, speaking of great gaming experiences, Super Mario Odyssey comes out in 10 days, 11 days ish, depending on.
Yeah, a week from this Friday.
And it got its first review in Edge magazine with a perfect score.
Now, what is this coming out for? What's the platforms for this game?
The Nintendo Switch only.
Just the Switch. Okay.
Yeah.
My brother just got one, so I might borrow that.
Steal it. But yeah,
You should.
Edge is notorious for not giving out perfect scores lightly. The most recent one was Breath of the Wild, but I think they've only had maybe like 17 in their magazine's entire existence. So
Nice.
it's a good first sign. We should see more reviews coming the next week or so, obviously. So that's exciting. Apparently there's demos out in GameStops, Targets, and Best Buys around the country. That's kind of random. You don't know which ones there are. You could kind of call and see if they have one. I've thought about doing that, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm okay.
No, I can't. I want to get it in my hands and just play it for hours.
Apparently there's kind of a funny story kind of along with that some of the more crazy speedrunners had already kind of taken over the stations to try to start perfecting their speedrun styles for the game, move Mario in certain ways and see what is fastest and stuff like that. So
funny as good for them. I mean, you got to compete in your market.
Yep,
that's cool.
That's cool. Just another thing we talked about Cuphead a little bit earlier, but it went platinum this week. It sold its millionth copy, and it's only been out for a week or two.
Ooh.
2 or 3 weeks, something like that. Already 1 million copies sold.
That's incredible. What's the price again on it?
$20. $19.99.
Nice.
Now, how much of that does Steam take?
A third.
Yeah, a huge amount. But yeah, we've already talked about it, but I really enjoy it. Every time we play it, I have never failed that many times in a game and still had such a good time.
Yeah.
I think Ryan and I in that genie boss, we died 50 times?
Yeah, we kept track of it kind of. The game keeps track of how much you died, but we happened to get the stat of it right before that fight, and then right when we beat it, Trent was like, "Let's go look and see how many times we died." And yep, it was about 50 times.
Yeah, there's this random shrine in the game that just gives you that stat without you expecting it, so it just kind of throw shade at you, which is really funny. But
I just love the fact that it's a good success story, because this is literally a family who made this game. Like I said, 100% indie. I don't remember exactly how they're related, but it is a family that got together and did this. I'm pretty sure extended family is included in there too. And it came out, and it's great, and it was hugely successful. So
that's nice.
My brother and I are actually working on a game. Surprise! It's a card game. Maybe we'll come back on the show and talk more about it when we're ready to put it up on Kickstarter.
Yeah, that'd be way awesome.
That'd be fun.
All right, so Shadow of War has been out for a week or so. People are saying it's really, really good. The loot box stuff aside, not aside, I guess it's part of the main conversation we have here. We've talked a lot about loot boxes before, but PC players found an exploit in order to get yourself more currency. Now, it's not like the in-game currency you buy with real money. It's the in-game currency you get in game. Does that make sense? You have money, you could buy gold pieces with real money, or in the game you collect silver pieces and you can spend either gold or silver to buy your boxes, so to speak. So they found out a way to hack the game or just modify your local files in order to get basically infinite silver so you could buy infinite loot boxes with. So I thought it was really, really funny. But that being said, I thought it might bring up kind of an interesting conversation, with, this being something that's obviously not sanctioned by WB Games. It could be seen as something. It could be seen as something that is taking revenue away from them potentially. Would either of you consider this to be in the stealing or piracy realm?
I feel like stealing and piracy, it's always tough to talk about with digital objects.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, they are not removing anything from the company. Yeah. On the other hand, if this became a large-scale exploit, yeah, it's absolutely going to hit their bottom line. There may be some players that, in fact, even most players that use it may be ones that weren't going to pay anything anyway. But some of them would have. Yeah.
So what kind of action, not legally, but you think morally, that WB will be okay doing?
They absolutely have to fix the breach, and then I would say it's completely reasonable to roll back the servers to before that occurred. It's going to irritate a lot of people, but
then again, though, it's a single-player game, so it's not like anyone's getting an advantage in any kind of multiplayer. And then also at the same time, maybe they could roll it back, but I think like your character's amount of silver or whatever that currency is, it's stored locally in your save file, which is why they're easily able to access it and change it. So I don't know if that's something that can be easily changed, especially if they want people to be able to obviously play this game offline.
This is completely solo. There's no multiplayer at all.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
So
that's been the big controversy surrounding it. Is that
so? Why is there a purchasable content anyway?
That's the question.
That might sway my argument.
To for people who don't want to grind to earn like the legendary, orcs in the game. Think of it like if you only play Diablo single player, you could pay money to get orange gear or a loot box with the potential to get orange gear, or you could just grind until you get something.
Well, for a while you could.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I don't know if I really think that they should be able to do anything about that. I think that's local content. I feel like you should be able to mod your games however you want.
Yeah.
Single player especially.
Trent, you agree?
Right. I'm not saying like you should be able to mod League of Legends to play itself for you.
Yeah, of course.
But single player local content that nobody else sees, I don't know. I don't think that it's their purview anymore.
Good call.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because like the game is online because you have to connect to their store or whatever. Is there an offline mode?
I think so, yeah.
So it's not like, say, SimCity where you have to be online to play.
Yeah, there would have to be an offline mode for hacks like this to work, because if you have to authenticate with the server for everything you do, then there's no way to get that hack through.
See, I'm not sure. I think as of right now, they haven't done any patches to say oh, this person has 9999999 silver. Because I don't know, but I would think when they purchase loot boxing with the in-game currency, not with real money, it still pings the server to get them their gear, versus having the loot box system be entirely on the hard drive.
I could see it being moddable, and like that argument, like when I bought this game, like it's mine to play with now. But I could also see like that service cutting you off from any future content.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, hey, you broke our terms of service. Like, you don't get to access our server anymore.
Seems reasonable to me. I mean, let's say you just
that's the company itself cutting itself off from other potential.
Right. But let's say instead of modding it to have the money to open these loot boxes, you modded it so that the default gear just looks like what's in those loot boxes. I mean, there's plenty of skin mods out there for games.
Yeah.
That's true. So,
Yeah,
an interesting discussion, and I'll be definitely interested to see like what action WB takes, if any, in regards to this.
This whole game has just become just a giant cluster because
Pretty much.
I also saw an article today debating whether we should be against the kind of like mind control and slavery that the game employs as its main mechanic.
I'm not familiar with it. What's going on there?
So, like, you're a powerful being that has one of the rings, and you can basically mind control the orcs.
And basically make them join your army to fight, so to speak.
But you can be against something and still employ it as a game mechanic. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not saying I agree with it either. But.
I get the point they were trying to make, and that like the reason this one feels different is that they tried to give all the orcs like their own like unique kind of like personalities and stuff, like voice acting and things like that, and it's like it feels weird to me to be like all buddy pal with this creature that I'm basically forcing to be my best friend. Like,
it sounds like they just wanted to give a storyline hook, and they didn't do a real great job sticking to it.
Yeah, he compared it to like, you know, Dragon Age or Mass Effect companions. It's like I feel like I earned those relationships, whereas this one, like, I'm literally forcing myself upon this creature. Like,
well, I mean, but Pokemon. Well, okay, there's no relations there, but you shove these Pokemon into a ball, and suddenly they're your best friend.
That's true.
It's always seemed weird to me.
If we were to analyze the ethics of Pokemon, that whole franchise would burn to the ground. I mean, you're basically like dogfighting with adorable creatures,
and they like it.
Apparently.
So, Shadow of War is not without its controversies, so we'll at least see how this continues to go.
Controversy.
So, what?
So it's a giant heap of controversy.
Pretty much. Speaking of controversies and loot boxes, let's switch over to Battlefront 2. So you guys know from my little mini rant last week that the beta was last week, and I kind of had something to say about the almost blatant pay-to-win loot box mechanics in it. EA has backpedaled a little bit. They've listened to the feedback. They're not quite there yet, so I don't want to give them more credit than credit is due, but I want to give them some credit where credit is due. They released a blog post that's kind of long. I won't read the whole thing, but they said, we know a lot of you have questions about crates and progression, so we want to clarify a few things as the complete system was not in the beta and will continue to be tuned over time. And a few things like, as a balance goal, we're working to having the most powerful items be in the game only earnable via in-game achievements and not for loot boxes, and a bunch of other like small things like that. So it's not quite as bad after that, but still not quite the completely free of pay-to-win mechanics. So good on them for making steps in the right direction, hopefully with further feedback and outcry as the game comes out, they'll be in a little bit better place.
Yeah, I'm glad that they actually, treated the beta as more than just like a server load test. They actually listened to the players' feedback. You could make the argument that this was their goal all along and that they're just clarifying. But either way, I think it's a good decision.
Now, to be the voice of absurdity for a second, is pay to win the worst thing that could happen?
It's not the worst thing that could happen, but it could very well, like you said, if you were playing League of Legends and someone could just pay to have better gear to start, that's not fair. It takes away the fun of the game for people who don't want to pour lots and lots of money into it.
Would it be a viable strategy? How long do you think people would play if a game was blatantly pay to win?
Only the handful of people who pay a lot of money would play, and so the community would essentially die.
Eventually.
Yeah.
You'd have a somewhat decent player base at first. Yeah, it depends on how long they want the game to last. I mean, if you have no plans on DLC, then go for it.
And like I said, I already suck enough at Battlefront. I don't need a ton of excuses to have a disadvantage against other people any more than I already do due to my skill level. So
yeah. Well, I think like if the best stuff is hidden behind achievement type activities, then you could still argue that it's pay to win if they get better stuff than you. But it's more. It becomes like what, a pay to get ahead type mechanic.
So again, which is better. Still not
a
great.
lot of games have had that where you don't have to grind out something all the way if you pay, but a lot of times these aren't
competitive
strong advantages. They're, you get to the end game content faster, but once you get there, you're with all the other people playing end game content.
And and they may have changed this, but one thing I mentioned last week is that like the Boba Fett hero card, one of his abilities that you could earn in a loot box is 100% damage reduction while he does a certain attack.
Huh. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
It's like stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's pretty bad. Like, don't do that. And there's others that aren't as crazy, but still crazy, like 50% reduction, cool time reduction on one of your abilities, like 50%. So just, I mean, again, it might be changed at this point, but that's what it was during the beta, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so. It's something. I don't know. I don't know how you get away from it completely if you want to have paid for DLC, basically.
Right.
I mean, legally gets away with cosmetics, but
yeah. Well, I mean, going back to Eternal, one I'm familiar with, they have missions that you can purchase. These missions unlock cards, but you don't have to purchase them. Like with the Shadow Wars, you can purchase them with the gold or the silver. You can purchase them with purchased currency or with ground currency, and it takes longer. It takes quite a bit of time to gather enough currency to get it that way, but you can get it without paying if you want.
Yeah. And it's the same with Star Wars. And I think part of the problem with Star Wars itself is that they're kind of limited to their cosmetic options. Like you can see that Disney or Lucasfilm doesn't want rainbow unicorn stormtroopers running around, which is very common skin in a lot of games.
But there are some, I say, more expensive options. Like in the first Battlefront, you probably remember this, Trent, that all the later level unlocks were like Twi'leks and Celestians and other races that you could be.
Yeah. And there's definitely options they could employ. It's just not as unlimited as, say, like Heroes of the Storm.
Totally.
Stuff like that. And I actually kind of got really annoyed when the Empire characters started looking more like the Rebel characters because they wear like their tan Imperial uniforms with no helmet thing. And I'm like, wait, who am I supposed to shoot? Like, you're a stormtrooper. You should be white and with a helmet on.
Pretty much.
Black or
like whatever. The British invading America.
Exactly.
Like, gotta know who to shoot.
Well, either way,
through the forest in their bright red coats.
We can hope that EA does the right thing and makes it not too crazy when the system comes out in the middle of November next year, or the next month.
This year.
I meant to say next month, but I said next year, so it didn't quite work.
It's all good.
Our final topic for today, another, we'll see how this goes, but IGN buys Humble, aka Humble Bundle, the company. What do you guys think of this?
As long as they keep the same, money goes to the game creators, money goes to charities, and I get cheap games, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered by it because IGN doesn't make the games. So it's not, I don't know. I go ahead and explain why you're worried about it, Ryan.
I would even say I'm in the not worried about it camp, but that doesn't mean that there aren't possible yet unlikely extreme concerns that can happen. Humble does publish games. They have been known to publish indie games, or at least fork out some money to help them get started if they sell the game exclusively on the Humble store. But also, if IGN is like reviewing, like maybe one of these games, just use a hypothetical, and they're like, "Oh, it's a 10 out of 10, great game. By the way, you can buy it on the Humble store here." It can possibly create a conflict of interest if they're reviewing the games and publishing the games and selling the games to you.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that would happen, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're probably not going to change anything. But at the same time, you have to wonder how IGN could see it as profitable enough to where they would warrant spending whatever they spent on it. Because I don't know about you guys, but the humble tip is always the lowest that I pick in the 3 options.
I leave it at default. I don't care enough to adjust the slider.
Yeah, I adjust every time. I usually give them like $1 or so, but the rest of it goes to charity, and charity first, then the developers.
I'll be honest, I don't adjust, but I also keep forgetting to cancel my $10 monthly Humble membership, and so every now and then I was like, oh look, I have like 18 new games that I'm never gonna play. But at the same time, most of it's going to charity, so I'm okay with it. Like, it's not something that really bothers me that much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't care enough to cancel it.
Yeah.
I hate subscriptions. Just, I did it for 1 month because I wanted some of the stuff in there. I immediately canceled it. Didn't even look what the next month was. Didn't look to see if it was something I'd be interested in. I just don't want a subscription sitting there.
And I'm with you, Eric, as far as I think the best course of action. Let's just continue, operate with Humble as we have before. And if we see, negative things happening to the storefront of their business, that's when we go with our wallets and say, we don't like this. So
yeah. And I think that if you're going to only one website, via like IGN in this example, to have all of your reviews, you should probably branch out anyway.
Yeah,
so, we say that, but reasonable. The gaming market is not the more hardcore like us, so to speak. IGN is probably the most popular casual gamer source for gaming.
Are people that are going to be reading these reviews, are they really casual gamers? Or I would think that the casual gamers only ever hear of something from their friends anyway.
Possibly. I just know IGN gets millions of hits on their site, for reviews and news things and everything like that, and don't think all of them are privy to all the information. Someone mentioned, like, how do we vote against, Shadow of War doing all this shady stuff? And people are like, well, don't buy the game. Well, it's like, well, probably only 10 to 20,000 people are aware and know of all this shady stuff they're doing. So if we vote with our wallet to not buy the game, that's just a tiny dent. Whereas just Joe Schmo who's like, oh, I love the first one, I'm going to buy this. Or just sees a commercial on during Monday Night Football and just like, cool, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, and part of that is are we doing a good enough job, spreading the word, or do we live in our own little echo chambers?
Yeah,
that's a whole other podcast discussion.
Yes, it is. I mean, because if you only ever complain on Reddit about this stuff, then only other Redditors are going to know your opinion.
Yeah.
I've actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I've never complained about this kind of stuff on my Facebook page before.
Because we, as the gamers, as the nerds, we've learned to keep our opinions in the circles of people that care about them.
Yeah, it's interesting. We should definitely circle back to this topic in the future.
Yeah, get some interesting responses, I'm sure. If we post it on Facebook, just like when I post all that Net Neutrality stuff.
Yes.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take us out, Trent, with our listener questions.
Listener questions. Okay, so Annie wants us to talk about the feminist gamer movement.
I am not familiar with this.
Do you know anything about it, Eric?
Not so much, no.
So I apologize to Annie because I also don't know a lot about this. I tried to Google it before the show, and this is why I think we need to just actually get an actual, feminist gamer onto the podcast to talk about it. So Annie, open invitation if you want to come and talk about it. That'd be great. I did a little bit of Googling. There was kind of an Overwatch character that sparked kind of a feminist gamer push. This was shortly after the Women's March also. It was just kind of just a push for video game companies and video game conventions and publishers and magazines and stuff to do a better job of representing women in games and women fans in games. And I think, obviously, I have a very, very base level knowledge of this and not very detailed, but yay, and more please. It's kind of my reaction to it.
I agree.
Sweet. Any thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, anything that expands the gamer community is good.
In a good and positive way, which this is. So.
And one of the things that I personally have been really trying to push back on, both on a professional sphere and in my nerdy sphere, because my profession is also nerdy, the whole that women are fake nerds thing is one of my biggest pet peeves right now, and it's probably one of my biggest pushes. Like, my sisters growing up were two of the, like we all played video games together. Like, the idea that women can't like nerdy things has always been stupid to me.
Fake nerd is what does that even mean?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like,
I'm not condoning this in any way, but it's just like, oh, you're not really a nerd. You're just trying to like do it for attention,
right?
To get boys' attention is what the argument is. Don't agree with it, but that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, even if that's the case, even if you are taking on these interests to get the attention of somebody that you know, is that fake?
And that's a good question. It's like, if I met someone tomorrow that I was dating and they had no interest in any of these things, but then because we were dating, started to see if they liked it, that's a genuine interest. It's just for a different reason. Like,
yeah, it's just dumb.
Yeah, the whole thing's dumb. So anyway, better representation in video games. I'm all for it. I think we need more of it. Ben, my good friend Ben, would like us to talk about, well, Ben and Amber, who just posted a little bit ago while we were talking, want us to talk about Blade Runner 2045.
49.
49.
No, they want to hear about 45.
Well, it came out 4 years ago, apparently, and no.
Well, sorry.
Sorry.
Ben, his Facebook comment said 45, so that's why I did it wrong.
Ben. Well, I've never seen Blade Runner 2045. I don't think I ever will. So, so sorry to disappoint you all our listeners out there. But when I rewatched, you guys may know last week I rewatched the original Blade Runner. Didn't particularly enjoy it on its second watch for me, which I watched the first time like 10 years ago or more. And then I was still planning on going to see it, but then I'll let TJ speak for himself next time he's on the podcast, but TJ messaged me and it was like, that was not good. If you did not like the first one, you will not like the second one. And so I was like, okay, that's a wait for, Netflix show for me now. So.
Yeah. I haven't seen the first one. It's never been something that's been on my radar, and so I haven't really been excited about the sequel anyway. And hearing that it's kind of fizzling is, and it's also like almost 3 hours long. Like, I don't want to go sit in it. Like, I have a hard enough time staying awake during a TV show. Like, don't put me in a dark theater for 3 hours and expect me to stay awake for something that's not like crazy action the whole time, which apparently this movie is not.
Yep.
So
sorry, everyone. It's going to be a wait. Talk about it in the future. So listen to every Brief Nerdy episode from here the next few years. And wait for us to talk about it.
We will eventually talk about it. I'm sure TJ will give us his opinion the next time he's on as well.
Yes, a real valid opinion on it.
So let's see. Ben would also like us to talk about ads and PR strategies targeting the nerd community, such as Arby's cardboard and sauce murals. And then Ryan threw in also like the McDonald's Szechuan sauce Rick and Morty tie-in. What do you guys think about these things?
Arby's have been hilarious.
Yeah, Arby's are fun. Those are fun.
Yeah, I think they're really cute, and I love them. So.
And there doesn't even seem to be any agenda. They're just like, hey, Arby's and things you like. I mean, right. Yes, there's an agenda. It's an ad, right. But it's not co-selling something. It's Arby's does things you like because we want you to like us.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, it's fun, and I mean, like, I see them mostly as like suggested posts on Facebook is where I've seen most of them, and I'll just be scrolling through my Facebook page and I see this like rotating table of Arby's food, and then like two of the things line up and make a Star Trek symbol, and I'm like, oh, hey, cool, Star Trek. It doesn't make me want to go buy Arby's more, but I like them better as a company. I don't even know where the nearest Arby's is. Since I've moved, I haven't had Arby's.
I want Arby's pretty much every time I see an Arby's commercial. It doesn't matter. It's gamer related.
Advertising, it works.
That's really funny. I was thinking, I have no idea where the nearest Arby's is to me right now since I moved.
That's not super far, but not super close either.
Nice.
As far as the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce, I don't really want to talk about it too much because it seems like it's been talked about way too much already.
In everything.
But I think it's cool that McDonald's did it. It sucks they didn't have enough, and it sucks that there's a small handful of Rick and Morty fans that had to be jerks and a-holes about it. So,
yep, agreed to all the above.
A few bad eggs can just ruin the way people feel about a certain community. And I've had people tell me like, I don't want to watch Rick and Morty because of Rick and Morty fans, and I feel bad for them that that's their opinion, but I don't blame them whatsoever. It's kind of honestly how I feel about Doctor Who right now. I don't really want to watch Doctor Who because I think Doctor Who fans are crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the bad ones. I mean, again.
Well, the ones you hear about. I mean, you probably don't even know that I watched all of the Doctor Who, everything since the reboot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I don't talk about it all the time because I don't think that everybody everywhere must immediately watch this.
And I have several good friends who love Doctor Who. And that's definitely not a problem. I've just had
if British humor is your speed, it's pretty good.
Oh, that was really funny. I have a lot of Whovian friends.
Yep.
I can't be anti-Whovian.
Well, even as something like I love is Firefly, I am getting really sick of the Firefly like meta culture. Oh, yeah. And it's getting too much at this point. And
that one doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I
get a good kick out of them every April Fools when they all get tricked into thinking the show's getting rebooted.
Yeah. Just I don't know, the brown coats and the shiny and all being my bunk. I mean, like it's getting way overplayed at this point, and I don't know. I love Firefly so much, and I always will, but like the fan culture is starting to kill it for me. So
the only cultures that I have a problem with right now is basically Star Trek and a little bit of Star Wars, but mostly Star Trek. It's just that I don't mind when a community is maybe over vocal about how much they love their fandom, like maybe Firefly fans and stuff are. The ones that I can't stand are when Star Trek fans are basically like cannibalizing themselves right now. Like they want to hate on anything that's not what they have like envisioned as their perfect Star Trek going forward. And it's like, I'm sorry, the chances of you getting that are slim to none. You can either keep damaging the fandom, or you can just at least shut up. I mean, everybody can say their own opinion, and obviously, you're welcome to it. But it's like, try to think about like what are your words accomplishing?
Agreed.
So that was a fun topic. A slightly happier one to finish us out. Ben would like us to talk about our thoughts on Murder on the Orient Express, and then any other murder mystery favorites that we would maybe want to see as movies or TV shows.
So here, I have not actually seen the original Murder on the Orient Express, but I have seen the Doctor Who take on it.
That's funny.
Relevant.
Call back. I have never seen the original either. I've just seen the preview of this one. I think it looks fun. I like murder mysteries, especially if they don't take themselves too seriously.
I haven't seen enough of them or read enough of them or anything like that. So the fact that I'm very excited for this one just based on its cast and the marketing alone, I don't know who is it, who the killer is. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, the cast should sell this movie by itself. I mean, just the amount of talent on this train is ridiculous. Like, I can't tell you who my favorite person is that's on this cast, and there's like 12 of them.
Yep.
So I'm stoked for that. I think I would love a really good modern film take on 10 Little Indians, which is an Agatha Christie murder mystery. I saw a play version of it in high school that was really, really good. That's the only one that jumps to mind. I would love to see a reboot of Clue, but I don't think
that's what I was just thinking. Like, Clue might be the only murder mystery I've watched, in its own element. But does it really need a reboot? I mean, has
No.
Clue really lost anything over the years?
No, it is as watchable today as ever, in my opinion.
Doesn't mean they won't do it.
No, of course, yeah. Now that we've thrown it into the universe, it'll happen. But yeah, so I think, I mean, there's plenty of murder mystery, style novels that they could adapt.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you guys think that you could make a TV show off of a murder mystery?
Definitely.
MTV tried it with Scream to kind of mixed results.
With only not a serialized, a serialized show, but one murder.
I don't know if it could be one murder. I think it'd have to be more than one, like a serial killer or.
Yeah,
but I mean, once you hit that, then you're walking in realms of things like Castle, any of the procedurals. It's not so different from that.
Well, I was envisioning maybe more of like a 10 to 12 episode story that deals with one murder mystery type thing, or one series of murder mysteries, and then the following season you change settings.
I mean, think about Survivor or Big Brother. It's all lead up to who the winner is, so to speak, and one by one, week after week, someone is removed.
That could actually be interesting reality TV. A reality TV murder mystery.
There was one. It was called Who Done It, and it was really fun, and it was very campy, like Clue style, but it was also a reality competition, and one of the people was an actor. And they didn't realize, the other contestants didn't know that they were the murderer, but they were also pretending to be a player.
Even not in a reality show sense, just every week either someone dies or someone is revealed 100% that they are not the murderer, and so like the number of potential people it could be the
fake
murderer.
Reality show.
Well, that's actually like 10 Little Indians. That's actually the premise of the story, is that these 10 people are taken out to this island mansion. And there's 10 Indian figures on the fireplace, and one by one, each of these people are murdered, and one by one, each of their Indian pieces are knocked off the fireplace. So you could turn that into a serialized, like each episode, someone dies, and you're whittling down who the murderer is. That'd be fun. I would watch it.
Yeah.
There you go. Good job, Ben. Go make it. People want to watch it.
All right, well, take us out, Trent.
Alrighty. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Brief Nerdity Podcast. Thanks to Erik for joining us this week.
Welcome.
Feel free to reach out to us on our social media pages. Send us an email at briefnerdity@gmail.com. Go to our website at briefnerdity.com. Click on the iTunes link to go over there to leave us a rating or give us a comment. We would love either or both. And we hope to see you again next week.
Take care.
Bye.